Hello, today on the Bye Wanxiety podcast, we have the very lovely Aeden, who is a tarot reader and an artist. And can I say how we met?
Yes, please.
So we met this was like almost 1 year ago, right?
Crazy.
I
Yeah.
was walking through Washington Square Park and I got a reading from Aeden. It was wonderful. And you just like stuck in my mind. And I
Oh,
remember we were just talking about a lot of different things.
yeah.
But yeah, so this is your story. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got like started with tarot
Yeah.
reading?
Yeah, I'd love
Where you're
to.
from?
Truly, if we were to go from the very start, I grew up in Hong Kong, and I just remembered being so inspired to pick up tarot reading. But in Hong Kong, tarot cards aren't just lying around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom's a flight attendant, and she just has access to all these playing cards. So I started reading people and myself with playing cards. I looked into the history of it, and playing cards come from tarot, right? So they all fit in there. And that's how I started. It was playing cards every day. I was like doing morning rituals, just trying to figure out how can I be more mindful, right? But then the older I got, I realized I can just get a tarot deck. I didn't have to wait. So I don't know. I feel like it just was a natural um, progression into taking it full time and using it as a tool, using it to spark real conversations with people. And it became a real calling as soon as I moved to New York. So yeah.
That's awesome. And like, so how does it like come to you? Is it like intuition? Like how
Mhm.
does it work? Because for me, I know it works differently. Like, how
Right.
does it work for
Yeah, you
you?
have different powers for sure. For me, everybody's journey is very different. I think at the start, it was very much just like, okay, I need to work in the closed world of the meanings, right? The historical meanings. But then the more I dug into it, the more I realized, like, wait a sec, some days a certain card doesn't feel a certain way, it feels totally different. And I think that's the beauty of tarot, because when you talk to somebody, no matter what question they ask, the cards will speak differently. So now I'm feeling a little bit more intuition kick in during readings. There are also some downloads sometimes, and that's what freaks me out because
Mm-hmm.
I can't predict what happens in a session, but there's sometimes like none of the cards are saying something, but then I hear it and I feel it, and when I blurt it out, it's like pertinent to the reader. So it's a very interesting experience. It's very freaky deaky sometimes, but it feels connected. It feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had a reading the other day, and
Yeah.
that was like so different than the first reading I
Yeah.
had with you. Like, I can see like you are like amazing now,
Oh,
and everything you told me
thank you. I
was
know. I'm
right. Just so
sorry.
you
I
know.
know. I'm so sorry. It's just like I just look at the cards and yeah, I read a lot of people's stories. But thank you for getting another one from me.
Yeah,
I feel
of
like the
course.
first time you read me, I was still getting my bearings. You
Yeah,
got me at like my earliest days coming to the New York park.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
So actually going back to that, I remember like when we were talking, you were working somewhere else,
Mhm.
right? Um, you can talk a little bit about it if you
Yeah.
want. And then I want to know like what was the final thing that made you decide to like quit and just do tarot reading full time?
Yeah. Um, so I was working at a cafe um, that only sold green tea.
Mm-hmm.
And at the start, I loved it because I personally love matcha. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's my thing, right? So working there, it was fun. I was learning how to be a great matcha barista. I had great friends. But then over time, I realized this was my way of settling into New York because it was my first job in New York. But then after spending 8 hours a day, not being able to connect with people,
Mm-hmm.
and then sooner or later, I started getting reprimanded for connecting with customers.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And I know how I work. I'm a very quick learner. I know how to get the job done while also making people feel welcome at any place that I work at or just live at. And then I started getting reprimanded for talking too much to people. So as soon as that started happening, I was like itching to run to the park even after an 8 hour shift at the cafe. I just wanted to run to the park even if it was like 4 p.m., 5 p.m. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to read for people and really spark deep conversations again, feel that connection. So I had already spent 10 months at this cafe and I was juggling, days on in the cafe and days off where I would spend at the park. But then around November, I realized this is just not the place for me to work anymore. I know that I can be more in charge of how I earn my money if I just keep going to the park and set that precedent that this is where I work now. And then I finally made the jump in November last year, which is crazy to think because it's been a couple months now.
More than a
Full
couple
time.
of
I know,
months.
but I started in September.
Okay.
Yeah, I started going to the park in September, doing like a half kind of thing, and then November was when I made the full jump. And honestly, it was a kick in the face because that's when everything started dying down. The snow started coming on. No, it was too cold to be outside at all, but I was still going out. I was still doing the thing because that's all I had, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, I started in the worst time of the year, I think.
I think that's also a time that a lot of people want readings.
I know, but I I really don't. I feel like time just went by so quickly because I knew that this is finally my freelance life, and if I don't be responsible right now, I won't ever be in the future. So even in the cold winters, I was going out fully bundled up, and I was reading whoever I could. I was lucky to come home with like $60 some days. And now that the sun's coming out, I feel like, oh, this is why I stayed. This is why I made it a job because it feels good when everybody is on.
Yeah, when I see you now, you're always busy.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
like,
That's really
I always, because I take them to the park like
Yeah.
every day, and I see you, and you always have some. I mean, I know
Oh.
you're amazing at doing it. So.
Thank you. That's
How
sweet.
how was like how did you manage like? I mean, I'm sure there must have been like a lot of anxiety behind that, like a lot of like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
when I like work anxiety, like how am I God, I'm leaving my job, how am I
Mhm.
gonna survive? Like, how did you like push that away and just
Mm.
keep going?
That's such a good question because you're like bringing me back to winter. You're bringing me back. I honestly, it was like pretty lonely sometimes at the park. I would set up and I would hope to read at least one person. And my mindset was that, you know what, I set up today. And if I get to read one person, I did it. I did the most that I could. And so the anxiety was really between clients, between queerants, because there was so much waiting time. There were some days I waited an hour before the next person. And you don't know. That's the worst thing about busking at the park. You don't know when the next person's coming in, especially in the winter. But it's funny. I had a tarot deck in front of me all the time. So I was just like, you know what? I have nobody to talk to right now. Let me do a couple readings for myself and see. And the same message came up every time I asked, like, what do I do sitting in this anxiety? And the lovers kept popping up. And what that meant to me was like, oh, this is a commitment. Even when there are days that are super hard. And when the days are like super good, I chose to be here. And I want this to be a long-term thing. So for me, it was like, nobody is forcing me to be at this park right now. This is me being my own manager. I have to be here. I have to come out at least 5 times a week. So there were definitely some days I jotted down in my notes. I'm just like, I made $0 today. But that's fine, you know? So the anxiety, it's an everyday thing. Even now in the summer, a little less, I will say. But I feel like I'm lucky enough to see return clients because I kept staying. You know, I kept coming back. All I can do is just keep showing up every day. Yeah.
Yeah, that's also. I mean, yeah, like like I said, I see you always busy now. So it paid off, you know. Like, so you're also an artist.
Yes.
I did listen to your voice. You have amazing voice.
Thank you.
How do you balance between, you know, doing your music and reading, like being at the park? Because obviously you have to spend all day at the park,
That's
right?
true. That's true. So yeah, I started content creating in 2020 really consistently. And so yeah, I singing is my first medium of art, truly. But living in New York, if I don't have a gig, I'm not making rent. You know, or I'm not even making a little bit of money, right?
Yeah.
So tarot, that truly was like, I have to do this every day to make minimum wage or even more than minimum wage. Singing, on the other hand, I love doing it, but right now it's really just about making content. And so some days I'd wake up early, make a video, and then go out to the park, spend 8 hours or like 5 hours. And then I come back. Some days I would make videos at night. But for me, it feels balanced. It feels like it's not against me. It just feels right. You know, I sing and then I talk to people, or I talk to people and then I go back home and sing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give somebody who wants to start reading tarot?
Mhm.
I believe that everybody has this gift,
Yes.
honestly.
Yes.
And it's just how you harvest it, I guess. So
Mhm.
like feed it. Like
Yeah.
what kind of advice would you give someone that's like, oh my God, I want to learn to start, but I don't know what to do?
Yeah. I love this. Every person I read as well, like, I feel like I'm always advocating for somebody just pick up a deck. But the main advice that my mentor gave me, her name is Michelle, Mish. She read me and my boyfriend this one night and it changed our lives.
Really?
Yeah, it really did. She actually was the reason I finally took the jump, because she got me to start thinking about what do I want to do besides being a barista, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, she's like, don't even think, just like jump into tarot right now. Like just allow it to be your full thing. So every day I was excited. I felt like I was going to college again. Because as soon as I'd wake up, I was watching YouTube videos of not just the meaning of tarot, but the different methods that people would read. I like really studied this because it was fun. It felt good, you know? So my main advice for people who want to pick up tarot is just like, if you already feel that ounce of excitement and intrigue towards it, get a deck, pull one card a day. Shuffle it, pull one card a day. And my morning ritual is I pull 3 cards to give me a little foreshadowing of what my day looks like. And it also helps me figure out like new meanings of cards, right? To see how it plays out. But for beginners, I would just, instead of trying to learn all 78, every single day, just focus on one card and then see how that plays out in your day. And that's the best way to form that personal connection. And I still do it to this day, even though it's my job. I love seeing the different energies and the different feelings of each card. So yeah, just go, just start.
So I cannot read for myself, you know that? The cards for me are blank when I look at it. I know.
I understand that though, you know, because for me, whenever I'm reading for other people, I feel like there's so much more energy. But when you're reading for yourself, sometimes it's like I'm talking to a mirror. Yeah. Like I really don't need the cards to tell me what I'm thinking right now sometimes. But it's nice to look at, you know? But I will say, whenever I do read for myself, I find myself sneaking towards like the basic meanings again, just to see like, what does this mean without my intuition, without my personal experience? So that's like a little bit unbiased, you know what I mean? But I get that, you know.
Because you also, the cards, like, I feel like for me, whenever I read for someone, I don't know, a card means something different for somebody else, because it's what I feel. Like, it's not even what I like see in the card. Like, it's just what I feel.
Right.
You mentioned that tarot decks in Hong Kong were just not lying around. Like, I don't know too much about Hong Kong. I've never been there. What was it like coming to America, and how long have you been here?
Yeah, I've been here since 2020. 2021. I've been here since like halfway through 2020. Okay. So I grew up in Hong Kong, in an international school. All my teachers were like Australian, British, Chinese, all of the above, right? But I've been in America for like 5 years now.
Okay.
And it feels crazy to say that, because I feel like it's been longer. But it hasn't really been that long. But yeah, in Hong Kong, maybe I just wasn't looking hard enough, or I was still under the impression that it was like satanic, demonic, for no reason. Like, there are way harsher things out there in the world, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just couldn't, it just wasn't in front of me in Hong Kong. Yeah.
It sounds, I don't know, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know in Italy, like I grew up in Sicily, and it's like, oh my God, tarot.
Everywhere, right.
Like,
right.
no, but they're scared, right? Because it's like against Catholicism.
Yes.
Like,
but that's what's crazy. So like, to talk back about anxiety, I also would set up at Central Park. And there were times where people, you know, I don't wave people down and say like, your energy looks amazing, you should come get a reading. I don't do that shit, because I don't even like that, okay? But there's sometimes I realize that just setting up a table that says tarot reader, it attracts all these crazy energies. There are people that just whisper Satan and walk past me. Yes. The craziest experiences, it's not even like the people that I read, it's the people that come and try to convert me or tell me that what I'm doing is wrong. And I know I'm not like the typical human being. Maybe in a couple of years I might be like Asian queer tarot reader, but it's people that sit down and they try to tell me that like what you're doing is wrong, you're going to hell. And then I think about it, it's not even that I want to prove that what I'm doing isn't wrong. it's the act of telling somebody that their life is bad, like
Yeah.
the life that they chose is bad. So for a couple months, I would humor the conversation of people that just come in, they don't ask, they just come in and try to sway me a certain way. But now I don't have the energy anymore. I realize that it's better to just preserve my good energy for the people that genuinely want to have a conversation with me,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like combat me. So now, as soon as I can feel it now before somebody even sits down, like, oh, you don't want a reading, you want to like punch me in the face. I don't humor it anymore. I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's,
I'm sorry you have to put up with that, but no, I understand it. And I just want to let you know, like, I used to get people always like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, like
right,
growing up.
right.
But I just want to tell you, I truly believe that if these gifts were bad,
Mm,
we would not have them,
mm,
right? That's like, if we're about, I think we have them because they're good and we help people.
mhm.
You know, it's not like we're telling people like, oh, you're gonna die tomorrow. Like,
No, that's the
yeah,
thing. Oh God, I would hate to do that.
we're like just giving people like a guide. It's
Yes, it's
guidance, right? It's
guidance.
guidance.
You're so right.
But yeah, I truly believe that if they were bad and we were not meant to have them, we wouldn't have them.
Right.
So,
But it feels like at the end of the day, you're just connecting more with people. And that's the whole reason I left my job, was because it's this weird corporate feeling of just like, I make you drink, you buy drink, and then leave. You know what I mean? But with like our powers or our extra sensory abilities, it's not hurting anybody, you know?
yeah, and I feel we just connect to people in a different way. Like, you can tell a lot of the times when somebody wants to have a chat. Like,
Oh
for
yeah.
me, I know, like, as soon as somebody, like, I'm like, okay, this person wants to have a chat. Like, okay,
Yes.
I will entertain it. Like,
Right.
I will help. But yeah, and it's so weird that they were telling you off for connecting, like, with
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah. But you know, let me tell you something else, right? On top of that, I think I get this from my mom. I'm a debater. Like, I know how to have an argument, like a conversation. So like there were a couple of people that would sit down and they're like, I'm not judging you or anything. I'm just telling you that what you're doing is really bad. And then I would tell them, okay, let's talk about this. Do you like your job? Right? Because there are people coming to me telling me that what I'm doing is wrong. I was like, do you like your job? And this girl, she told me, no, I don't. I'm like, why is that? She said, I make sandwiches at a deli and I wanted to be a dancer, but that wasn't my path. And I was like, it's unfortunate to hear you say that. This is my path and this makes me feel good. So I don't understand why you think it's okay to tell people that the life that they chose is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So it's a very interesting way of looking at life, you know? There's tarot where it's you have all the options in front of you. It's really a matter of, do you want to reach for your goals or do you just want to wait for something else to pop up?
Yeah.
And then there's some religious people who are like, this isn't my fate, this isn't my path. But then they're unhappy. And I can't agree with that. I can't, you know, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I talk to a lot of religious people. A lot of my mentors are religious, Catholic, Muslim, Buddhist. It's nothing to do with religion. It's just about how can we enjoy life right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm a big believer in God, and
Yeah.
I read.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like, again, if I wasn't meant to have this gift, I wouldn't have it. I'm
Right.
sorry.
Right.
So,
But that's really cool.
yeah. So I guess that's one final question, which I love to ask everybody.
Okay.
What's the one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Oh, my younger self. The first thing that comes up is really just keep doing what you love. And I love a lot of things. I've hopped on different passions left and right super quickly. Like everybody that knows me, as soon as I grab onto something that excites me, I master it as soon as possible because I just get obsessed. If that's like singing, tarot, if it's like crocheting, it's really any art form that just excites me. You know, I don't want anybody to tell like my younger self that like you should focus on a more typical job because that's just not what I was meant to do, honestly. I love connecting with people. And I feel like the reason I was so intrigued to pick up all these different art forms was because it felt good. And I know that when I showed that to people, they also felt different things. So it's all about connection. So I would tell my younger self to just keep learning new things, keep diving deep into all these different art forms, anything that just excites you, and show it to people, start that conversation.
I love that advice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I think this was one of my favorite interviews I've ever had.
Thank you.
Everybody, you can find Aeden at Washington Square Park, but I will also tag your Instagram so people can come get readings from you.
That's great.
Yeah, come and get a reading from Aeden.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.